Then coming Peter said to him, Lord, how many times must I forgive my brother who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say up to 7 times, but up to 77 times. Good morning. Welcome to a short biblical reflection on the Gospel reading from the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 up to 20. It is about the forgiveness. Gospel reading for 24th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year A. I just read the opening dialogue which prepares for the parable of the unmerciful servant, because in fact this parable is just to illustrate the point about the necessity of forgiveness. The first debtor with a huge amount, 10,000 talents, comparing to his fellow slave which owed him only 100 denarii, without going into value, what would be the difference between talents and denarii. Just those amounts, 10,000 and 100, makes very big difference. Both are pleading, this first one pleads the Lord, have patience with me and I will pay you everything. And then consequently his fellow servant says similarly, have patience with me and I will pay you back. But to stress, in particular in verse 28, many translations just translate it that the first verb, that when he went out, I prefer to translate it more literally because it stresses the very fact at the moment of receiving forgiveness, because in verse 27 is, and out of pity for him, the Lord of that slave released him and forgave him the debt. And verse 28, if we translate literally, would sound like this: and going out, that same slave found one of his fellow slaves who owed him 100 denarii, and seizing him by the throat, he said, pay what you owe. Because when we translate when he went, we could be now discussing how much time elapsed, 1 hour, couple of hours, 1 day, or more days. But translating and going out, it stresses the very moment. Just at the very moment receiving the forgiveness, he shows his unmercifulness to his fellow slaves. Against him acts badly. We could compare it like somebody who goes to confessional, receives absolution of sins, and immediately at the moment of leaving confessional, against sins against somebody, his brothers and sisters. And therefore the parable concludes with this statement, you wicked slave, I forgave you all the debt because you pleaded with me. Should you not have mercy on your fellow slave as I had mercy on you? In the dialogue between Peter and Jesus, there is this play also on numbers. Peter asks 7 times, while Jesus answers 77 times. We should take into consideration that the numbers in the Bible not always have just literal meaning. They can have also symbolic meaning. Let me illustrate it in the following way. Number 7, symbolic meaning would mean always, because number 7 means a number total, complete, perfect. And however, somebody always could find some exceptions not to do it, not to forgive. Why number 77, it is made out of 7 times 10 plus 7. So it's, number 10 is also a perfect number, and any multiplication of number 10 means the same. So then we have like perfection, stress so much, this fullness, that it is categorical statement about forgiving always without any exception. Also another symbolic, for example, use of numbers we can have, for example, in the book of Revelation chapter 7 and 14, which refers also to book of prophet Ezekiel, 144,000 sealed. Number 7 refers to, for example, tribes of Israel or apostles. However, number 144,000 is made out of 12 times 12, so we received the total 144, and again times 1000, we have 144,000. Again, we have this multiplication of perfection complete number, which now stresses the entire people of God, a multitude. Going back to our text, in the lectionary, the first line reads, Peter approached Jesus and asked him. However, translating literally from the Greek text, we have, then coming, Peter said to him. The first word, then, is omitted because this verb links with what precedes. In fact, links to the gospel reading which we had last Sunday, when we heard about the necessity of admonition, brotherly correction, and as I also explained, which implies forgiveness in order to restore the community, where the community could pray together. In fact, Peter understood the words addressed to him and the other disciples with those words which we had heard last Sunday. Therefore, he poses this question about how many times he should forgive. And Jesus answers him categorically that he should forgive always without any exception. I would like to wish you a nice day, a nice reflection on this gospel reading. God bless.